Time to talk about how do you bat for a long period of time. Ricky Ponting's with me. Geoffrey Boycott. Back in the day, you were the one player that could bat for hours. How did you do it?
First of all, have a mindset that you're not going to get out. Simple as that. If they can't get you out, you just keep batting and have concentration and patience. Steve Smith could do it. I could do it. So could many others. He could do it too.
But how does it, you know, it's all right to say you could do it and you had that mindset. What was it, your technique? You know, the mind was obviously very strong.
Well, look, I've always believed that batting can be technically very difficult, so you've got to simplify it. There are good balls and there are bad balls. Anytime you get a bad ball, always hit it for runs. I always tell people that. But you've got to remember, in Test match cricket, there are good bowlers. They're going to bowl you good balls and you can't hit every ball. So you've got to learn to stay in. And that means being able to play forward if it's pitched up or play back for these short balls. And really, if you think about it, it's not that difficult. If you get a ball that's pitched up, say round about off stump somewhere, you want to be playing forward to it, but you want a decent stride. You want to get out there, something comfortable, a decent stride to pitch of the ball. Now, the key thing is, you don't want to put your foot here where the ball's on that line. It's too far away. You want your foot next to the line of the ball so it's easy for the bat to come down on the line of the ball. That's the first thing. And you want a decent, comfortable stride so that your head is over the ball. So when you play the ball, you're playing it with your eye on the line, but over it. If I played the ball here, my head is over it as well as on the line. So the chances of me missing it are very small. And the key to it is to make sure you get a decent stride out. You get a small stride, you see people getting caught on the crease like that, and then they have to push out and lunge. Alistair Cook at Brisbane got caught like that. He got caught at slip. Left-handed, all he did was that, pushes out, he's falling into the ball, he can't control it, he's not on the line and he's not over the ball.
I'd absolutely back up everything he's had to say there. And the thing that he's talking about the most is that length of stride, but it's not too long.
Correct.
As soon as you get too long, you're off balance. Yeah. And as soon as you're too short, you're off balance as well. You see the guys that are too short with their stride, if they go here and the ball's pitching there, they've got to get to it. So the reason the way they try and get to it is this leg then comes forward to bring the weight round. As soon as this leg and hips open up, the shoulder comes around, the back comes across the line of the ball, and that's the one they'll nick.
How quickly did you assess what the bowlers were trying to do to you?
I think one thing about trying to combat bowlers, I think the one luxury you have in international cricket is you play a lot of the same bowlers quite often through your career. So what I used to try and do, or not try and do, I did every night before there was a chance I was going to bat the next day. I'd lay back in bed at night. I'd actually think about the bowlers I was going to face. So if it was Anderson and Broad and these guys, I'd actually write down how I thought they'd try and get me out and then how I thought they'd try and stop me scoring. And because I played against them quite a bit, I knew how they'd try and attack me early on. But by doing that, I could formulate my own game plan, one, to stop them getting me out, and two, how I was going to score against them. So I already had it programmed into the memory bank, if you like, for the next day.
And Jeff, did you have a little black book?
Yes.
What was in it?
Not names of girls, names of bowlers. Yeah, and some I thought, look, he bowled a good bouncer or a good slower ball to remind me.
You'd write that in that book?
Yeah, we still have it. It's funny to read it. He said, well, he can't bowl.
Come on, who was it?
I'm not telling you.
I want to throw you some balls.
No, I'm
Geoffrey,
too old for that. Ricky,
I used to watch you at Adelaide Park in the 80s.
Ricky, come in here.
Come on.
You'll be walking away.
Hey, Geoffrey, get in here. We want to see you play a few.
No. I haven't hit a ball for 30 years.
Well, let's see if you're as good as you talk about.
Piece of cake, look. No problem, 4 runs.
That's like
just like Ricky.
That's like Kevin Pietersen. Play straighter.
No, it went for 4.
It might have been caught at short mid-wicket.
No, they don't have one of them for me.
Come on, let's see your defence, Geoffrey. Let's see that high elbow.
He's just dying to get me out. Look
there
at that.
You go.
Never lose it, dear.
There it is.
Never lose it.
The one.
I'll tell you what, just another thing to back that all up. I mean, I think the important thing for kids about and finding a way to bat for long periods of time, you've still got to get some joy and excitement out of a good defensive shot. Because the higher level you play, the more and more defensive shots you go into play. You're not going to score freely all the time. So playing a perfect forward defence is as good as hitting a perfect on drive. That's the way you've got to look at it, because without that, you're not going to survive. So you've got to get some joy out of the defensive side of your game as well.
You can make a statement to the bowler that you're in control of what he's delivering, what he's giving you, by making a good defensive shot. And then when he bowls your bad ball, always hit it. It's not all about defence, but as Ricky said, and I agree, you've got to be able to defend, to stay in, to play your shots.
I think the two things that have come from that: practice, preparation. If you want to bat a long period of time, you've got to put the practice in, the hard yards in, and you've got to prepare for who you're going to be facing. Time to talk about batting and attacking play in particular. Three of the modern greats: Kevin Pietersen, Ricky Ponting and Adam Gilchrist. Gilly, starting with you.
Yeah, I think back to how it all began, the basic foundation that my father, who was sort of the biggest influence on my career at a young age, how he used to coach me, or I used to nag him, keep throwing balls, keep feeding them into the machine. But he gave me a strong foundation of learning the basic fundamentals. So you needed a base to work from. Be it physically or just in your mind, a basic technique of forward defence, back defence. And I used to do a lot of those drills, but Dad always at the end, at the finish of the net session, would say, right, now you've done that, I'm going to throw something, just slog it, hit the ball. It's what the game's about. You've got to that's what the fun part of it. That's why we play.
When you talk about base, you're talking about the stance, the width of the stance?
Probably more a base to work from, that you're confident that, you know, if a good ball comes, and I guess the big point, and I think that everyone would agree here, you learn your own technique. I mean, I grew up, and I think most of us grew up with all the calling all cricketers textbook, and that's what you sort of had in your mind. But eventually you work out your own technique. Look at Hanscom, look at Smith at the moment. You're not going to find those techniques anywhere in a textbook. But really, I was coached about just getting a nice balanced foundation, so that then when the ball, if you get a good ball, you've got a good tight defence to try and keep it out, or back foot, nice tight. But then from there, it's an extension. Your aggressive stroke play is an extension of that base.
I played a lot of squash, I played a lot of tennis, and a lot of people talk about the way that some players step across their stumps and they hit the ball across their stumps, or that switch hit and playing the reverse sweep. I found it actually quite comfortable, quite easy to play, because all the switch hit is it's a backhand squash shot. So you're running around a squash court, it's a backhand, it's a backhand, it's a backhand tennis. I mean, the top spinner or more the back spinner. So for me, it wasn't a difficult shot, it was a controlled shot, it was controlled aggression, but it was all about manipulating the field. So it's all about defeating the bowler. Once you've defeated them from around the wicket, you're hitting them through the extra car, you flick in, you're doing whatever you need to do. The bowler thinks, right, defensive mode is to go over here. Now all it really is a backhanded shot, and that's a safe shot. That might look like a risk, but when a bowler goes around the wicket, backward point generally isn't up. They might not have a backward point, or backward point might be on the boundary. So any top edge is 2, 3, 4. I remember going to 100 in India and in Sri Lanka with exactly that same shot. There was no fielder there. The bowler was around the 6-3. And there really is no risk. That's not out because it's pitched outside leg stump. So there really isn't any risk if you miss the ball and you get your pads in the way. But you can just hit the ball and you can just manipulate the field, and then the captain thinks, this isn't working, I've got to do something with my field. He maybe take one man from that side, and then you can start playing the power shots again. So for me, I was always 4-3-2-1 in scoring. I always look for a boundary first.
What about the mindset? You know, what's the mind like when you're trying to be ultra aggressive?
Well, batting for me was all about scoring runs, and it was showing that positive intent and putting the pressure back on the bowler to get them to bowl where I wanted them to bowl. That was basically my batting mantra from the start. And if you look at a lot of the time when I was batting well, I'd take my stance, I'd look up, and the first thing I'd do, I'd always look at a spot on the pitch. And that spot on the pitch for me...
So as soon as you take a guard, you're in your stance, the first thing you look at is...
I always look down there.
How big is it?
I used to visualise like an A4 piece of paper on an area where...
Whereabouts? Where are you looking? What?
Well, there was normally a few, and it changed for different bowlers as well. Obviously, the height of the bowler...
Talking here?
Dictated that, yeah, probably a little bit further, yeah, about there. So what I'd visualise as being a forward defence length. So basically what I was saying to the bowler was, if you're good enough to hit that, that's going to be a defensive shot for me. But with my intent and what I'm trying to do to you, I'm trying to make, by coming forward, I'm trying to make you bowl short of that. If you land the ball short of that, I think I can pull you from that length. And also, by visualising that area there, if he pitched up on the full side of it, the way I was going at the ball, I felt I could get forward and drive the ball back down the ground. So what I was trying to do was minimise the bowler's margin for error, if you like. And if you look at my career, my two strong shots probably were punching back down the ground to mid-on and hitting a good pull shot off balls that weren't overly short. I wanted to get into a contest with the bowler and let him know that he was going to have to bowl really well to try and restrict the way that I played and the way that I scored. And, you know, if first ball I got in a test match was a half volley, then I'd play it the same way as I would if I was 100 not out.
We talk a lot about, you know, getting a wide stance and getting kind of at the ball and getting a good stride in. I've always felt that batting's about the head, about getting that head back towards the ball.
Yep, absolutely right. The heaviest part of your body is your head. So if your head goes in a certain direction, your feet have to go in that direction. If your head's going at the ball, your feet are going at the ball. And you're quite right.
Well, I'll show you something with that, with Kev. If we talk about, because this obviously was something that I battled my whole career, was being a little bit eager to get to the ball and maybe not going in the exact same position all the time. Quite often my head will go towards mid-off rather than towards mid-on. And then to work to just
show us here, Rick.
Well, if Kev can take his stance there, what I would say to anyone that battles that problem there of falling over their stumps is, if I was teaching a kid that was falling over, what I'd tell him to do, I'd tell him to see the ball from this eye, from his right eye. Quite often when you take your stance, you're looking out of your left eye. You never really get your eyes square enough to where the ball's coming from. So if you're falling over your stumps, see the ball from this eye here, and where you can, when you start to move, take that eye towards the umpire.
Yeah, and that's very
even stay leg side of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, once you're leg side of the ball, you can actually make a move into the line if you want. But once you've actually moved across early, you can't go back the other way, which is what Joe's doing right now. So little things like that. And the other thing with young kids as well, which we're hopefully this program's going to, the one thing you can notice with a kid when his head's and his eyes not level is the peak on his hat or his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, it's always on an angle like that when your eyes aren't level. So for anyone that's coaching these young kids, just get them to straighten the peak of their helmet up, and that gives them a better chance of taking their
it's
head
so true.
towards the ball.
So true, because I remember playing in some test matches saying, look at mid-on, look at mid-on, look at mid-on, to try and keep my head this side of the ball, especially when somebody fast was bowling. Because you stay this side of the ball, it's easier to duck and sway and to watch the ball. As soon as you get this side of the ball, all the commentators, he's not watching the ball. It's hard to watch the ball when your head is tilted in this direction. If you're in this direction, you can play both ways. If your head's here, you literally ducking, balls are going past you, you're getting this way, you're turning your head, and it's so true.
Gilly, Ricky, Kev, thanks so much for that. Three of the best. Hope you've enjoyed that. Right, Gilly, we've got Ricky as your abled assistant. We've got Josh and Izzy from West Junior Cricket Club here in Brisbane. Josh, you're 10, Izzy's 11. Why should they go into wicket-keeping?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's an easy answer. Wicket-keeping, it is a focal point of any time, any fielding team being out in the middle. You've just got to be involved in every single delivery. You can't sort of bowl and over and then go down to fine leg and just take a little nap for a while. Every single delivery you possibly could be in the game. I had one of the best hitters of the cricket ball in the form of Ricky Ponting, and Vaughan, he used a very simple drill to warm me up on game day. Obviously, got the gloves on, got the hard ball, but for me, whether it was in practice or on the morning of a match to warm up, this is a very simple drill that I used to do with him. Get the ball, and that's it, just trying to stay down low.
What you're looking to achieve here?
What I'm looking for is to get my technique right and a bit of rhythm into my keeping. So the main thing, it's footwork, getting warmed up, getting your feet
So
moving.
I'm just noticing there, like batting, you've got a little trigger there, haven't you?
Yep.
Just talk us through that.
I get down, get set, so you're a bit broader than shoulder width apart. Not going down into the full squat here, because it's more trying to create a realistic match-like situation when the ball's coming towards you after it's gone past the bat. So it's here, trigger, and then just ready to go, and really looking for strength in your legs. You want to be nice and low. You don't want to be up too high and then have to go down for a catch. So it's getting that base, firm base, and just watching that ball right.
How important are the hips? I mean, you've taught the thighs, the legs, the alignment, the trigger. What about the hips?
Probably much more important in the UK, in England, where the ball's tailing around once it passes the bat. You've got to be flexible and able to go with it. In Australia, it's a bit more consistent, the flight of the ball, and it's probably a bit more, not easier, but there's, as I say, consistency in getting into a good position. Basic drill that I would then extend into my...
Ricky, I get the feeling you were Gilly's butler.
That's about it, mate. That's all I did. Don't worry about my batting warm-ups on any day. I was just looking after the
Did he make you a cup of tea
It
as
was all
well?
about taking his mind off batting. You know, he needed to relax and focus on something else. So, same, it's a basic drill, but just upping the intensity a little bit. Would probably do this with some inner gloves on, not my full keeping gloves, because I like to get a feel of the ball. But getting down here, take it into there. And I would try to do this.
Gilly, how much would you do on a morning of a test match?
Mate, well, as you get older, you train smarter. When I was younger and first into the team, volume was everything, and you work hard, and probably as much as anything, showing everyone that you're working hard so that they knew that. But you hundreds of balls early in your career, but this, I worked out, became a feel thing. So if I was doing this and it felt good right from the start, I'd just do about 10, maybe 15 of each side, get him to shoot one down the leg side. And as I said, footwork, it's only small steps, but you've got to be moving. But Vaughan, in answer to that question, probably 10, 15 minutes probably on game day, just getting moving of all these little drills.
Very good there, Rick. Josh and Izzy, 10 and 11 years old. If you could just give us 3 pieces of advice for what wicket-keeping really is and how you can improve and what you require, what would it be?
I would say a better level of fitness that I've got at the moment, because I'm absolutely exhausted. No, in all seriousness, I think, as I said, the foundation is your footwork. So being strong and staying low. If you're practicing, a good wicket-keeping coach will say, stay low, stay low. So you can do a lot of drills where you're just skipping back and forward. It's all leg strength, so staying low. And then nice soft hands. Relax those hands. Get someone throwing the ball and just cushioning the ball in. Third bit of advice, have fun. Always love it. You're going to do a lot more time training in cricket than you do playing, particularly in batting and even wicket-keeping. Make sure you're enjoying it and have fun.
Well, Gilly, that's brilliant. Thanks to the butler.
Thank you.
Magnificent job. Josh and Izzy, I hope you've learnt something. I think we all want to be wicket keepers. Well, potentially not me, because I've got hands like feet. Right, time to talk about the art of fast bowling, skillful bowling with Damien Fleming and Mitchell Johnson. We're joined by Lauren, Lewis and Harvey. They play cricket in the local area. I will say Lewis is from Huddersfield. Decided to move to Perth. No idea why. Anyway, fast bowling, Mitch. Just give us what it is that you require to be a fast bowler.
Well, to be a fast bowler, I think you have to have a little bit of height, but that's not always the case. There are some quicks around. Jai Richardson here at the Perth Scorchers is quite short, can bowl quick. Brett Lee was probably just a bit shorter than me and bowled extremely fast. I think you are born with that trait, being a fast bowler. But you can work on getting quicker, and that's basic techniques and keeping it really simple. So your run up is really important for a fast bowler. Your front arm, pulling that down and finishing off is really important for a fast bowler, and being able to bend your back as well is really important. So there's a couple of key things, but keeping it really simple.
Kids, do we want to see Mitchell bowl a ball?
Yes.
Yep.
For me, when I would warm up, I would bowl to a left-hander, because then I could get my action in a really good position. That feet alignment, that's the easiest way. So for a right-hander, a right-hand batsman was the easiest for them to warm up on, because you get everything in a line. As soon as you go to, for me, a right-hand batsman, I have to come around a little bit more and change my setup, but I still do the same thing in the end. But it's just easier. I'll bowl to a left-hander.
Left-handed batsman on strike.
So if it goes down to the right, I'll say it's a right-hander, but... So what I do is I'll come in a little bit straighter with my line here. I'm thinking of going towards where the keeper would be standing. So I'm aiming for the keeper just outside off stump. This could hurt.
Oh. Let's try and copy exactly what Mitchell did there. I know it's difficult. Oh, that's lovely.
Comes out of the hand well.
It's perfect.
The only thing I'd say with the run-up, starts to go a little bit towards that direction.
Yeah.
So going away from the stumps, but then sort of corrects it and then starts going towards the stumps, which is good.
So really, it's just a waste of energy. You might as well
Waste of it,
just run straight.
Maybe it could start a little bit wider.
Well, let's just tell him, Lewis.
Pretty good.
Got a point about your run-up.
With your run-up, do you feel like you go towards, say, square leg, a little bit? Yeah, it's about halfway down, you start to wander out, but then you correct it and you go straight through.
Put him right.
Yeah, I'll show
He's
you
a
now.
Yorkshire lad, Mitch. We need a few bowlers.
You're starting about here normally?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do is take a step this way. It might feel very awkward, but you can see like there's a few marks there. So if you run towards, it's a lot easier if I put some tape down at the end, so you can
We've got
look where you want to
cones
land.
here if you want, just where he starts to go out. Do you want me to put him down there?
Yeah, we can put them down here. So you should be landing in here. We'll go inside that. Does that look all right?
Yeah.
So just run straight towards your target.
There we go.
That's a beauty.
Perfect.
What a delivery that
It's a very
is.
good release for a young man.
Yeah, it comes
you
out
run up,
nice.
you can work on a little bit. You've got the target. You know, there is a little bit of a stutter halfway down there. You know, you just want to be running like a normal runner. But, you know, skills-wise, normally you're trying to teach kids to swing the ball.
Yeah.
Well, if he only has to work on his run-up, that's a bonus.
Harvey's got a question for you.
Yep.
Go on, Harvey.
When did you decide to do bounces?
When did I decide to do bounces?
So I think he wants to know, when do you decide to bowl the bouncer? When is it in your mind? Is it on the way back to the end of your mark, or is it
Yep.
the end of mark? When do you have that moment and go, right, the bouncer's due to be bowled?
Well, for me, the bouncer was one of my strongest deliveries. So I would use it to set batsmen up. And especially on a wicket like this where it's bouncing fast, it's good to use. I would basically have 3 deliveries in my head. It would be Yorker, top of the stumps, or bouncer. That was it. So obviously if I was setting a batsman up, I wanted to go a bit wider. I would tell myself that. And that's how I sort of operated.
Can you bowl as a bouncer?
I can try.
Jeez, I'd love to see you down there, Vaughanie.
So for me to bowl a bouncer, it's an extra effort ball as well. So you really have to be focused on pulling that front arm down and getting through. So that's sort of like bending your back in a way, that finishing off.
Left hand or right hand? What are we going for now?
We'll say it's Broady.
Stuart Broad's on strike.
Maybe
it's
it's-
always
I knew
Broady.
it. We
It's
just
always
fished.
Broady.
We just fished. We got it.
Good luck, Stu.
Don't get on the front foot, Stu.
Oh, that's... get out of the way of that. Sway, duck and leave.